Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for both prelims and mains examination perspective will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with news topic list. Today is 27th of July. The first news that India adds 5 more Ramsar sites. The total number of Ramsar sites in India has become 54. The second, that is Lok Sabha passes Family Court Amendment Bill. Third, Supreme Court asked the government to curb the election freebies. This has begun a debate earlier also, and now the Supreme Court has taken the cognizance of it. Fourth, Russia to leave ISS after 2024. This is what official announcement coming from Russia. And the last is an editorial, whose GDP it's anyway, right? So apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before that, if you are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. So starting with the first news of the day, that is India adds 5 more sites to the Ramsar. This is something achievement for India that the number has increased, and this is specifically important for your general studies paper 3, that is conservation, environmental pollution, degradation and EI. So according to the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, 5 more site has been added to India Ramsar list, right? और ये जो नंबर है, अब ये नंबर टोटल कितनी हो गई है? दिस इज 54. So the total number of Ramsar site in India, if it is being asked in examination, you have to write that this is 54. Now, which are the all sites that has been included in the list? तो जो 5 ऐसे sites हैं, important sites हैं जो इस बार include किए गए हैं, उसमें सबसे important site है Karikali Bird Sanctuary, right? So this is a bird sanctuary which is located at Kachipuram district, 86 km from Chennai. उसके बाद जो दूसरा नंबर है, that is Palikarni Mars Reserve Forest. This is described as one of the last remaining natural wetland of Chennai city. Now the third important one is the Pichavaram Mangrove Forest, right? This is again near Chitambram in Cuddalore district. It's the world's second largest mangrove forest. Now, fourth अगर बात करें जो important है, that is Sakya Sagar Lake. This is located in Shivpur district in Madhya Pradesh and it is surrounded by Madhav National Park, right? तो ये कुछ ऐसे locations हैं जो आपके लिए काफ़ी important है. और last है Pala wetland. This is the largest lake in Mizoram and this wetland is about 360 km from the capital Aizawl. तो जितने भी साइट्स ऐड किए गए हैं उसमें आपको क्या देखना है एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, फर्स्ट यू हैव टू चेक द मैप, राइट? जितने भी मैप लोकेशंस हैं वो आपको ध्यान में रखनी है. उसके 8-5 क्या कोई एडजेसेंट नेचुरल बेसिकली जितने भी नेचुरल पार्क्स हैं, नेशनल पार्क है, बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व्स हैं, इस तरह के जो भी चीज़ उस लोकेशन के आसपास में है वो आपको ध्यान में होना चाहिए. नाउ मूविंग अहेड, these are some of the important picture. Even you can take the screenshot of all the 5 Ramsar site that has been recently added ताकि आप revise कर सकें आराम से. Now about the Ramsar site, Ramsar Convention is an international treaty. Basically this is an international treaty for the conservation and wise use of wetland. I think most of you must be aware of this fact. It is named after the Iranian city. बहुत सारे competitive examination में पूछा भी जाता है कि Ramsar belongs to which place. So this is a city in Iran on the Caspian Sea, location is Caspian Sea, where the treaty was signed way back in 1971. So some factual information again going to be important for the prelims examination. Now Ramsar site was established in response to Article 2.1. This was the article which was a part of it, of the Convention on the Wetland, that called for each contracting party, जो members country होंगे, उनको एक suitable, they should designate a suitable wetland within their territory for inclusion in the list. So this is a part that every country has to ensure कि वो अपने member countries जो हैं उन्होंने अपने countries से कुछ rivers या कुछ ऐसे locations important biosphere reserve national park जो है वो रामसर के list में include कर रहे हैं. Now moving ahead, that is aim of the Ramsar site. The aim of the Ramsar site is to develop and maintain an international network of wetland that is important for the conservation of global biodiversity. तो ग्लोबल बायोडाइवर्सिटी को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए ये सारी चीज़ें काफ़ी ज़रूरी है. Now, throughout that, maintenance of each ecosystem component and processes the benefit also. This is the advantage of having the Ramsar site. Ecological balance और sustainable development में बहुत हद तक मदद मिलती है. Now, the Ramsar site is maintained by the Montreux record, which is an easier to track the ecological changes. जो भी ecological changes हैं उनको measure करने के लिए, and even it can affect the wetland site positively or reverse the way. So these are some of the aim of the Ramsar site, which is helping. Now, wetland status की अगर बात करें, about 40%, this is the number, about 40% of the world plant and animal species depend on wetland, including 30% of the well-known fish. A global land की अगर बात करें, global land and coastal wetland, it covered around 12.1, right? तो ये वैल्यू कितनी है? 12.1 million square kilometers. और इंडिया के perspective में अगर बात करें, इंडिया has a share of 3.2 million square kilometers, right? Unfortunately, about 35% of the world wetland, अगर बात करें पूरी टोटल में, 35% of the world wetland has disappeared since 1970. So suppose if you're writing in mains paper, you can highlight this important fact, right? Now, conservation on the wetland has entered into India. India ने कब wetland में basically agreement किया, and they're part of it. So it was the year 1982. India की अगर बात करें 1982 में इंडिया ने उसका part. Now India then has total now climbed up to the position of 54. अगर बात करें total number of Ramsar site India में कितनी है? This is 54. Now globally there are over 2,400 Ramsar site. पूरे world across world 2,400 Ramsar site है. That covering a total surface area of more than 250 million hectares. So this is about the global arena, and specifically अगर इंडिया की बात करें तो उसके लिए भी आपको numbers और square kilometers मैंने आपको बता दिए, 3.2 million square kilometers. Now Ramsar sites in India, although earlier it was 49, अभी 54 है, इससे पहले numbers 49 थी. Now this has reached up to 54, and the inclusion of the latest basically has given a phenomenal increase. Almost this is the value which Indian subcontinent together comprises, and now the total area has increased further. This is the value of the number. This is not relevant for your examination. आपको नंबर के पीछे जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, आपको सिर्फ ये पता होना चाहिए कि टोटल नंबर्स ऑफ रामसर साइट कितने हैं. दिस इज 54, राइट? एंड इंडिया नाउ हैज डेटोनेटेड दिस साइट, एंड जितने भी नंबर्स ऑफ साइट हैं इंडिया में, दिस इज हाईएस्ट इन साउथ एशिया, राइट? सो इंडिया हैज बिकम द कंट्री विच हैज हाईएस्ट रामसर साइट इन द साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज. Now India aims to move to total 75 Ramsar sites. जो टारगेट गवर्नमेंट ने की है वो 75 Ramsar sites की है, ताकि 75 Ramsar sites के टारगेट्स को पहुंचाए. No, they should reach it by very soon. Basically it was anticipated कि 2025 तक ये चीज़ें वो करनी, but let's see when India is going to achieve the target of 75 Ramsar sites. Now these are some of the important locations that you can check about the Ramsar site. You can take the screenshot it ताकि आप इसको आराम से रिवाइज कर पाएंगे. Now the other news, Lok Sabha passes the family court amendment bill, something relevant for general studies paper 2, that is state legislature function, conduct of businesses, power, privileges and issues arising from it. So recently the Lok Sabha has passed the family court amendment bill. This was passed by the Lok Sabha, and it basically called to overcome the issues of lack of jurisdiction in the family court in the states of Himachal Pradesh and Nagaland. तो ये जो दोनों states हैं, खास करके हिमाचल प्रदेश and Nagaland, so this would be the part of it. With the amendment, this will be empowering these two states to proceed further with the jurisdiction, right? It will enhance the jurisdiction, or it will extend the jurisdiction. Now through the government, Nagaland established 2 family court in September 2008, and the government of Himachal Pradesh has established 3 family court in 2019. Now insertion of section 3A, this is again an important point that you have to take a note of. जो family court की amendment bill है, that seeks to insert a provisions of section 3, right? This is section 3A, इसको insert किया गया, and this particular sections और provide करती है establishment of family court both in Himachal Pradesh as well as in Nagaland. तो हिमाचल प्रदेश और नागालैंड में यहाँ पे प्रोविजंस की गई है कि वहाँ पे फैमिली कोर्ट स्टैब्लिश की जाएगी. द बिल सीक्स टू इंसर्ट सेक्शन 3A रेट्रोस्पेक्टिवली रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इसकी implementations होंगी, and validate all action under the act by the government of Himachal Pradesh and Nagaland of these two states. So this become important. आपसे ये पूछा जा सकता है कि कौन कौन से states हैं जिनमें ये applicable होगी. So the two states is Himachal Pradesh and Nagaland, right? Now, Family Court Amendment Bill was introduced in Lok Sabha this year only, July 2022 को इसको basically government ने introduce किया था, and bill has amended the Family Code Act of 1984. तो 1984 की में changes की गई, and the act allow government to establish the family court. This is the main aim, and the central government is empowered to notify the dates for the act to come in force with a different state as well. अभी के लिए हिमाचल प्रदेश और नागालैंड. Now, the government of Himachal Pradesh and Nagaland have set up family code under this act, and several, however, central government has not extended the application of the other state. अभी और जो state ने applications दी हैं, उनके applications को approve नहीं किया गया. Other news, that is Supreme Court asked government to curb election freebies, something important for General Studies paper 2. That is structure, organization, function of executive and judiciary. So the Supreme Court has recently flagged the issues of political parties of promising freebies. तो freebies को issues को लेकर के काफ़ी ज़्यादा concern raise की गई है. PIL फाइल की गई थी Supreme Court में, and Supreme Court was hearing that PIL, right? So in this concern, Supreme Court has come up with some observation also. So the apex court has asked the central government to examine the matter as to control the promise of freebies. And to which was actually the part of the manifesto of the political party. So how far it is true, because Supreme Court is of the opinion that इस तरह की चीज़ों को रोकने की ज़रूरत है, और उन्होंने सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को रूल्स और लॉ बनाने की बात की है. Now, what was the direction that was given by the Supreme Court? So the bench was headed by the Chief Justice of India. CGI was the one who was heading the bench, and he has asked the government to consult the finance commissions. उन्होंने कहा है कि फाइनेंस कमीशन को आप कंसल्ट करें और उनसे ये पूछे कि क्या ये feasible है या नहीं इसको बनाना. So they asked that you should consult the finance commission and take a consultation, what is their opinion, then come up with a law, right? And the court did not receive the clear-cut answers from the additional solicitor general who was representing the central government, right? And the Supreme Court bench has also noted that you take a stand whether freebie should continue or not. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को ये कहा अटॉर्नी जनरल के थ्रू कि आप स्टैंड ले और बताएं कि फ्रीबीज सही है या नहीं, गलत है क्या है, आप अपनी ओपिनियन बताएं. द इलेक्शन कमीशन काउंसिल सजेस्टेड दैट द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट could bring up a law to consult the issue, and even additional solicitor general जो थे, they've suggested that it fall under the domain of election commission, but election commission ने इसको deny किया. उनका कहना है कि ये रोल गवर्नमेंट रूल्स के साथ भी ला सकती है, राइट? एंड इवन द कंसल्टेशन वाज आल्सो मेड बाय द कपिल सिब्बल, जो वहीं कोर्ट रूम में अवेलेबल थे. दिस इज नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट, बट अगेन एक ब्रीफ आपको जरूरी है जानना. कपिल सिब्बल से पूछेगा कि आप बताइए आपकी क्या ओपिनियन है, वेदर द फ्रीबी शुड कंटिन्यू और नॉट. So Kapil Sibal has suggested, yes, the freebies problem is serious in India, and even the government of India should consult the Finance Commission and take their recommendation in the freebies, right? Now, Russia to leave ISS after 2024, something important for General Studies paper 2, that is effect and policies of developed and developing countries. So Russia new space chief has officially confirmed that Russia will pull out of the International Space Station in 2024. So this is the timeline that Russia has provided. By 2024, they would be not the part of this mission, right? And NASA and other international partners hope to keep the space station by 2030. उन्होंने कहा कि 2030 तक अगर हो सके तो इसको रखने की ज़रूरत है, but it will not be continuing with that. So Russia has been showing its reluctancy in terms of continuing with the agreement. So the space station is jointly run by the space agencies, which include Russia, United States, Europe, Japan, and Canada. So these are the member countries that you must take a note of. And the first piece was put in orbit way back in 1998. अगर बात करें कब इसको start की गई थी, it was started in 1998 by the member countries, right? And this is how the progress was made. And even the inhabitation continued for close to 22 years, right? But finally, Russia has decided that by 2024, Russia would be withdrawing from the stations. And it is used to conduct the scientific research in the zero gravity and test out the equipment for the future space journeys. But apart from Russia, all other countries would be continuing it. Now, moving to the editorial of the days, whose GDP is it anyway? Right. So this is the title of the editorial. Important for General Studies paper 3, that is Indian economy and issue related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. So under this editorial, we'll be looking into three important aspects. So तीन कुछ महत्वपूर्ण बातें हैं उस पर ध्यान देंगे. So this include growth and basically growth and jobs, the obsessions of GDP, and then expanded dashboard. तो पूरी editorial की focuses है on the GDP and its real growth measures. So in few weeks, government is expected to release the first quarter of the GDP numbers. Like what is the numbers? What is the progress that government of India has made? We have seen the post recovery after the COVID-19. तो किस तरह से किस क्वार्टर्स में जीडीपी के क्या नंबर्स हैं उनके बारे में डेटा आएंगी. एंड द हाईलाइट ऑफ दिस आर्टिकल और एडिटोरियल इज दैट कि जीडीपी के नंबर्स पे सिर्फ हमें देखने की जरूरत नहीं, वी नीड टू फोकस ऑन द रियल ग्रोथ, राइट. सो रियल ग्रोथ इज अ फैक्ट. रियल ग्रोथ के बारे में हमें ज़्यादा ध्यान देने की ज़रूरत है. बट द रियल क्वेश्चन इज व्हाट इज द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ द जीडीपी ग्रोथ फॉर द कॉमन पीपल. Now, growth and jobs की अगर बात करें, this is a point that has been highlighted in this editorial, that we need to focus on the basically the part of the growth that is actually there, right? कितने jobs creations हो रही है उस पर हमें ध्यान देने की जरूरत है. So the average basically अगर बात करें, the average person, primary and sole concern is about the economy that has income he has earned. So he or she, how much contribution is given by them and what is the percentage of basically profit or growth they people are also making. This is also in the real time that we have to calculate. Now the single most important demand of the people is like the job. सिर्फ जीडीपी के नंबर्स पे हमें जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. जो इकोनॉमिकल ग्रोथ है हर एक इंडिविजुअल में, किस तरह की जॉब्स में रिडक्शंस हुई हैं या इवन द जॉब्स की ग्रोथ क्या है, एक्चुअल प्रॉस्पेक्ट्स क्या है, उसे भी हमें देखने की जरूरत है. द हाई क्वालिटी फॉर्मल सेक्टर जॉब्स दैट इंश्योर डिग्निटी टू वर्कर्स, गुड इनकम एंड जॉब सिक्योरिटी. So this is also the sole parameter that has to be considered by the government. ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ जीडीपी के नंबर्स पे हमने रिलाई किया और जो एक्चुअल ग्रोथ है उसको डिनाई किया. Now during year 19 to 2000, अगर आप देखें ये पिछले एक दशक में, 10 years down the line, the GDP growth has yielded a growth of basically 1 lakh new formal job was created, right? And previous decade में comparatively काफ़ी अच्छी improvement हुई थी. Now the next decade for 2000 to 2010, 1% point of the GDP और growth new jobs की जो बात करें, this was close to 52,000 new job, which is not that great number. Now to put it differently, India की अगर GDP growth की बात करें today, it is 4 times. So compared to other sections, this is 4 times. And in 1980 to produce the same number in the formal jobs. So it is clear that there is a coherent relations between the formal job and the GDP. So these two are somehow correlated, but again, we have to establish a fact where GDP numbers should not be the sole criteria to measure the progress of the real time in the society. Now, high GDP now does not necessarily means more job and income for the people. This is what I was trying to tell you, that अगर जीडीपी की ग्रोथ हुई है तो ये ऐसा नहीं है कि जॉब्स में भी ग्रोथ हुई है. उसके दोनों के नंबर्स को हमें कंक्लूसिवली देखनी होगी ताकि एक ये पता चल सके होलिस्टिकली कि एक्चुअल सोसाइटी में किस तरह से डेवलपमेंट हो रही है. एंड इवन द जीडीपी इज एन एलिगेंट एंड सिंपल मेट्रिक्स दैट इज गुड इंडिकेटर्स फॉर इकोनॉमिक प्रोग्रेस which can be compared with any nation across. Now obsessions with GDP की बात की गई है. See what is happening, like excessive obsession over the GDP growth by the policy makers and politician can be unhealthy and dangerous. This is what the editor has highlighted in this editorial, right? सिर्फ और सिर्फ GDP के नंबर से आप पब्लिक को किसी भी तरह से गुमराह नहीं कर सकते. We need to progress on the real indicators, and if the growth is there in the GDP, it should not translate into equivalent economic prosperity for the average person, because जो average individual है उसको इसकी benefits नहीं मिल रही है GDP के numbers बढ़ने से क्या, right? And then the GDP growth backfires, triggers the backlash among the general public. Now the US today produced a new job every percentage of the point of the GDP growth since 1990, and China produced 1/3 of the new jobs that today it did. and for 1990 every percentage of the GDP growth. So their contribution equally rely upon creating more job, and even at the same time ये parallel करने की कोशिश करते हैं ताकि दोनों जगह पे इनको growth मिले. Even for the GDP number the growth should be there, and also for the jobs. So these are some of the important points that has to be taken a note with the government and the policy makers. Now looking into the dashboard and expanded dashboard, how this is helping global order पे अगर बात करें, so you can see here that way back in 2008 the president of France, basically Nicolas Sarkozy, at that point of time he has set up a commission, right? And this commission was known as commissions to measure the economic performance and social progress, right? तो जो नोबेल लॉरिएट्स थे उनको ये टास्क दी गई कि एक कंप्रिहेंसिव मेजरमेंट्स बनाए कि इकोनॉमिक फ्रेमवर्क में सोशल प्रोग्रेस का परफॉर्मेंस का क्या रोल है, एंड अल्टरनेटिवली हाउ इट कैन हेल्प for the soul measures and how reliable is GDP data in the social progress, right? So the report was concluded that what we measures affect what we do, and recommended that an expanded dashboard for multiple indicators unique for each country. तो हर एक कंट्री की प्रोस्पेक्ट के हिसाब से, ग्रोथ के हिसाब से, जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी के हिसाब से डिफरेंसेस को नोट की गई. Now, if you conclude to this editorial, you can find that the GDP growth has turned to a misleading and dangerous indicators that falsely have any implications on the economic promises, and that have betrayed the people aspirants and created a deeper social problem, right? So this is a time, it is a time for the political leaders, especially for the oppositions, not to rely only on the GDP numbers. सिर्फ GDP के growth numbers पे ध्यान देने की जरूरत नहीं है, but we should insist on the part that India के जो economic performance है for beat every sector, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is job, whether it is creating more opportunities, it should be looked upon, और उसके क्या impact हो रहे हैं common people पे ये देखने की ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है, right? So this is how the actual GDP growth can be measured in our country. Now moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is C again. Today's MCQ for practice आपको बताना है World Sustainable Development Summit के बारे में. It's an annual flag summit that is organized by the Greenpeace, and the theme for the summit was redefining the common future, safe environment for all. So do check it out for the correct options. Second is Shrak, that is a dynamic portal for the job mapping for the skill of the Shramics in the MSME. The portal uses algorithm for the artificial intelligence and tools to provide training for the skill of the Shramics, right? So these are the two important statements. Government scheme से कई बार directly सवाल पूछे जाते हैं, so you have to check that. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.